Hi, I'm Josh Fishman, president and owner of A. Fishman Son Diamonds in New York. Welcome back to our Ultimate Diamond Education Series. Today I would like to discuss a subject which I've been keeping away from for several years, and that is understanding fancy shaped diamonds. Unlike round stones, which are all obviously round, each different shape in the fancy shaped diamonds has its own unique characteristics. It can be long, it can be short, it can be wide, it can be stubby, it can be deep, it can be rounded, it could be square, it could be rectangular, depending on, of course, the fancy shape we're talking about. But at a minimum, the complexity is much greater than it is in round stones. So I would like to go over that with you and get a start on understanding why you need to see the diamond in order to understand what it is that you are purchasing. So I'd like to start by understanding which fancy shapes we are talking about. So let's take a look at the following chart. The fancy shaped diamonds that we are going to look at are the Princess, Emerald, Cushion, Heart, Pear, Marquise, Oval, and Radiant. Before I get started on the first of the shapes, the Princess cut, let me tell you what I'm not going to discuss. I'm not going to discuss the variations in clarity grade, in fluorescence, in the variations of color, and the like, which apply generally to all shapes of diamonds, and which I've covered extensively in other videos. We're going to be focused on the shape, the outline of the diamond, and the brilliance of the diamond, and the look of the diamond as you look to select an appropriate fancy shaped diamond for your significant other. You are looking at the clarity map from a GIA certificate for two different princess cut diamonds. The one on the left with four large pavilion facets in the center, and the one on the right with evenly spaced, narrower, sharper facets. That is the preferred model for a more brilliant stone. When I buy princess cut diamonds for my inventory, I look for the diamond whose configuration of faceting is the one on the right side of the previous image. It makes a big difference in the brilliance of the stone. The diamond on the left has a tendency to be deep and shadowy and glassy looking, especially if it gets a little dirty. Now let me just show you what different princess cut diamonds can look like. Again, this will emphasize that you have to see them to understand them. If you look carefully, you can see that the two diamonds on the bottom are exquisite. You can see the defined faceting arrangements with narrow, evenly spaced facets. The stone in the upper right-hand corner is a little bit more glassy and not as bright. Seeing is believing. Let's turn to the emerald cut diamond. In the next image, you will see two GIA clarity map images of the bottom of the diamond. The one on the left has a more traditional three-step faceting arrangement, and the one on the right has a more modern four-step faceting arrangement. Both can give you brilliant stones, but the one on the right tends to be a little heavier in terms of carat weight relative to its look. When it comes to emerald cuts, what you want to look for is a brilliance of a reflection of rectangle inside of rectangle inside of rectangle. The next images are going to show you what that should look like. Just compare the emerald in the upper left-hand corner to the emerald in the bottom right-hand corner. The one in the upper left-hand corner is shadowy and has that, I'd call, envelope flap look at north and south, while the one on the bottom right-hand corner is a beautiful rectangle inside of rectangle inside of rectangle brilliance. Now that you're getting the idea, we'll move a little more quickly. Let's take a quick look at cushion cuts. You will see from the next image that there are a variety of different ways that a cushion cut can be cut underneath the stone. But the more important thing is what it looks like, because you can have glassy stones, crushed ice-looking stones, and you can have brilliant defined stones. So we'll look at the image from the GIA and then some of the images from our actual diamonds. A diamond which will be the prettiest cushion cut will look more like the diamond image on the right-hand side, fully brilliant like a round stone would look underneath. The ones on the left will have a variety of different looks and variations and not be as pretty. Now let's look at some of the images from actual diamonds. Here are a variety of diamonds. If you look at the one in the middle, the second row, you'll see a glassy looking diamond. You look at the cushion on the bottom, you see a gorgeously cut stone with full defined brilliance. Let me quickly show you a couple of heart shapes as our next fancy shape. Now, the ones I have are very pretty models, but there are heart shapes where you don't see the notch in the heart very well. And there are heart shapes where the shoulders are very pointed. Mine are very pretty. But again, you cannot judge it from the certificate because the certificate diagram will look the same for all of them. And there also can be differences in the way they're cut on the bottom in the same way that other shaped stones can be cut differently. Let me quickly draw your attention to the glassy nature of the diamond in the upper right-hand corner and the beautiful brilliance of the way the two other stones are cut. When we talk about pear shapes, marquises, and ovals, very often the word bow tie comes into play. What that refers to is the dark shadowiness across the center of the diamond when looked at from the top. It's an undesirable feature of those fancy shaped diamonds, and they occur because of the stretched out nature of these shapes. And the way a diamond is cut underneath has a bearing in why that takes place. In order to avoid that look, a little variation is sometimes placed in the bottom of the diamond when it's being cut in order to make that bow tie insignificant. But the consequence of that is a glassy diamond without full brilliance. Let me explain by showing you some pear-shaped certificates followed by pear-shaped diamonds. Compare the two images on the left with the two images on the right, and note the presence on the images on the left of the two kite-shaped facets running across the center of the stone at 9 o'clock and 3 o'clock, and that they are missing on the two images on the right. The two images on the right will be more glassy, camouflaging any potential bow tie, while the two on the left, if cut properly, will be much more brilliant, but if too deep, will be more of a bow tie. Now let's look at the outline of stones themselves. Note that in the previous image, all four diagrams looked exactly the same, but diamonds don't really look like that in reality. They can be flatter on the bottom like the one on the left-hand corner in the bottom, or rounder like the one in the upper right-hand corner, or longer or shorter, but the image of the clarity map will be the same. When we look now at marquise diamonds, and then following that with ovals, we will see the same configuration of the bottom of the diamond, those that are missing the pavilion facets leading to the 9 o'clock edge and the 3 o'clock edge, and those which are not. As with the pear shapes, you can see the presence of the pavilion facets across the middle on the left, and they are missing on the right. Now let's look at images of marquises so you can see how many different shapes they can look like. Here you have a variety of outlines of marquises, from the football shape in the bottom to the beautiful model which is in the third row from the top, the one on the left. You can also see what a bow tie looks like in the one right next to it, third row down on the right. Now let's take a look at ovals, and we're going to see a very similar situation. Once again, you'll see the presence of the kite-shaped facets at 9 and 3 o'clock at the left-hand image and on the right-hand image, and they are missing in the center. The diamond in the center will be more glassy and have a less of a defined brilliance that an oval should have when cut properly. Note that in comparison to the image in the clarity map, which are all the same outline of ovals, ovals can take many different shapes. Particularly beautiful is the one in the second row on the left. Finally, let's take a look at the different shapes that radiant cuts can look, from long to square to rectangular. If I showed you the clarity map images for these three diamonds, they would all look identical as far as their outline and length to width would look. But in reality, as you can see, they look very different. I prefer the one on the left as the most brilliant stone. So let's sum up what we've learned today. Fancy shaped diamonds are complex. The model, the outline of the specific fancy shape, the brilliance are crucial in whether the diamond is a pretty one worth owning. There can be variation in whether you like a diamond that's a little shorter or wider. Some of that comes into personal taste. But basically, you cannot make that decision by looking at a certificate and seeing what the model looks like on the clarity map. You have to look at the diamond. And that's where A. Fishman & Son comes in to help you look at our specific diamonds and show you pictures of the diamonds themselves and discuss with you their ultimate brilliance and desirability. So I hope to continue with this subject at another time in a little bit more complexity. But until then, have a great day. So long.